so much for joining us today. My name is McLaughlin and I'm here with CCS. Today we're going to learn the basics of maintaining the smartboard, the basic setup features, and all the components that are actually involved with this system. Right here we have the Smartboard 800 series, and with every smartboard system you have three main components. One, you need an actual smartboard or a designated interactive platform. Second, your computer with the designated notebook software on it. And then lastly, a projector of some sort so that you can see the image being displayed up here on the surface. Now, when I am manipulating with the board and navigating throughout the screen, I'm going to be doing so with my finger. When I am using my finger, it's essentially my mouse. So anything that I can do up here on the board, I would then be able to simply do at the computer with the computer keyboard and mouse. So, turning everything on, you power on the smartboard. This one in particular does have a power button on the pen tray. You also then need to power on your computer and then make sure you see the duplicate image here. So whatever you see on your computer, make sure you see it up here on the smartboard as well. And then make sure your projector is turned on so then you can see the image here being displayed. Now, you want to make sure that everything's in alignment. So I'm going to orient the board. For this board in particular, there is a shortcut on the pen tray. If you're working with the 600 series board, so the board with 4 pens, one of each color, then you have two options. One, you can use both of your fingers, your pointer and your middle finger, and select both the keyboard and the right click button on your pen tray at the same time, and that will launch your orientation screen. Or you can go into your notification area and launch your orientation shortcut there. On this board, I'm going to select our shortcut on the pen tray, and this is the image it is displayed. You want to use the pen, preferably, not your finger, because your finger is a larger surface area, and the key is to get to the center of the target every single time. So that's why I recommend the pen, because it has a finer tip. So you just want to make sure that you are selecting the target, and once it illuminates green, it moves on automatically to the next target. And you just simply follow the targets around the board until they are no longer present, and it takes you back to the screen you were previously on. With this board, you have 2 pens, and in this setup, you also have color features on the actual pen tray and an eraser. Like I said, in the 600 series, you have 4 different pens, each pen representing a different color. On this board, you can have 2 people write on the board at the same time, so dual collaboration. With the 600 series, with the 4 pens, it's 1 person on the board at the time. Now, for maintenance and cleaning, just simply make sure everything is shut down before you actually start cleaning it. And with Windex, you want to apply to a soft cloth, the Windex, and then on the board. So don't spray directly on the board surface, because you have the electronics down below, and with gravity, you don't want the actual liquid to then be running down the board and then damaging anything down below. Now, when you are turning everything on, 2 important cables to be aware of. One, you have your USB, which is connected from the actual computer to the smartboard. This is where all the interactivity lies. So if you are unable to interact with your board, it's not responding to you, please make sure that it is plugged in a good port and that there's no pinch or bundle of a cable anywhere, because you want to make sure everything is properly wired. And then lastly, you have your VGA cable. It's a thicker black or blue cable, and that allows then the projected image to be seen up here on the smartboard. And to get started further, we're going to be talking about the Smart Notebook software. That's the software that I mentioned that's designated on that computer, and the icon that you'll be looking for is right here. It's a blue box and a white notebook with a blue pen on top. I have mine already minimized down here. And so when you first open the notebook for the first time ever, you're actually going to see a tutorial. And for every other time after that, if you ever want to reference that tutorial, you can do so by going to the Help button, which is the far right option in your toolbar menu up top. And it's the 3rd option down, Smart Notebook Tutorial. That'll open up a brief overview of the features you can find within the software and allow you to reference back anything that you may have forgotten. Now, when you open up the software for the next time, then you'll get a blank page. It will be a single page, a new notebook, and at this point, you have full reign of them starting to collaborate, write notes, have the students come up and participate with you. And so this is now that software that's going to give you the full potential of this smartboard system. And to start off, in the right, or in the left corner, excuse me, you have arrows that allow you to go forward and backward within your presentation. And then you have other side tabs over here, which we'll get to in a moment. Now, simply writing on the board, it's as simple as picking up a pen. And if I can draw your attention up to the top toolbar area, when I put this pen down, my pen options go away. When I pick the pen back up from the pen tray, you'll notice that now the pen options are now expanded in that toolbar area. So the pen tray and the software are talking to one another. So that's important to realize as well. Now I can select my color from down below on the pen tray, or I have the option to do so up above. When I look at the toolbar up above, I actually have additional colors and types of pens that I can explore at your own pace, of course, but just know that they are there, and we will dive into that deeper selection in a little bit. So if I select my green pen down below on the pen tray, I can now write my notes here with my pen. At the same time, because of the type of technology we're dealing with, DVIT, the Digital Vision Technology Touch, I can then, with my finger, move that content without even putting the pen down or selecting to be a mouse. The actual board recognizes when I'm utilizing a pen versus a selection of my finger. Now, I want to be able to have multiple people up here collaborating. So if I need 2 people to write on the board at the same time, someone else can pick up a pen and write as well. So 2 people can write at the same time. If you would like 2 different colors to appear on the board, someone can be a green pen. So remember, my pen is still green, but say I need someone else in a distinctive color so I can tell, which student is collaborating in what area. So now I'm going to make my finger red. So now I can have my green pen here and my red pen over here. So now I have that capability of 2 different colors at the same time. So that's really helpful, especially, I know when I was in the classroom, just being able to have that distinct vision right away of, okay, this person was in that ink, this person was in this ink, and now you can see, collaborate, compare, contrast what each student did. Adding a new page is simply done in the top left corner. It's a white page image with the green plus symbol on top. So if I select that, it gives me a brand new page. Now, I didn't lose that previous page. When I go to my first tab on the left side, which it may be different on every computer, and I'll show you why in a moment, you can see that that new page was just added and placed right after the previous page I was just on. So you're never losing your pages or content. You don't have to delete or erase to get more board space. And that's what's amazing with this software and the whole solution in general. So this page sorter allows me to see a thumbnail view of all my pages in my presentation, similar to PowerPoint, so it's an easy transition on what you're looking for and what you're used to using already. And when I go to this new page, I can tap out. My actual page sorter will collapse on me, giving me maximum space on the board surface. And now at this point, I can continue to take notes if I would like to on this new page, and always refer back with the back arrow to the previous page of content we were on. Now, when I go forward, there's another way that you can continue to use the whiteboard space here without adding pages all day long. I was actually curious one day, and I just sat for a minute and kept adding new pages, and about a minute later added over 1,000 pages and still allowed me to keep going. So you have endless whiteboard space. Granted, that file will be huge, but just know that you have that capability of adding pages when you need to. For this current page, if I don't need to add a new page or I really just simply don't want to, you can have this one single page stay with you the entire day, and you can select the extend page option. So I can just keep taking notes all day long, wherever I like, and then at the end of the day, I can just scroll up back to the top to review what we talked about in the beginning of the class. So either way, it's just preference, but I like to give you different options on how you can fully utilize this system because everybody teaches and learns in a different way. Now I'm going to put my pen back on the pen tray, and you notice when I put this pen down, my extended pen options go away, and it returns automatically to my cursor, or what I like to call the home button. So the home button is simply allowing now the board to recognize I don't want to be in a pen mode anymore. I need to be able to select, manipulate, move, and edit my content on the page. So that is important when you're going between pen and finger mode, or cursor mode I like to say. Just being aware of what mode you're in and then anticipating that before you start doing something. Now, we have our digital ink here on the board, and you do have an eraser on the pen tray. This eraser allows you to erase the content that you have on the actual page. Now, say I want to get that content back. I didn't mean to erase it. I'm going to introduce you to your best friend, the undo button. So the undo button is also in the top left corner, and when I select that, it will bring back the content I just erased. That also works for deleted objects as well, and we'll talk about the difference right now. When I write something in my ink, my pens, this content is erasable. But say I write something, say I write my name, and it's a little sloppy, it's not exactly the way I want it to be presented. Well, when I return my pen to my pen tray, remember I go back to being a mouse, I can now select my name, and when I select an object, I just simply tap on it, and I get a dotted blue frame that appears, allowing me to also access a green handle in the top area, and then a white handle in the bottom right area. This white handle allows for resizing, the green handle allows for rotation, and then in the top right corner, there's a little drop-down arrow. That allows for a whole list of other options to be explored. Not right now, we'll explore that in a little bit, and as you get more comfortable. But the first option I want to show you is that top one, Recognize Amanda. So when I hit Recognize Amanda, it takes my handwriting and puts it into nice, neat, typed, formatted text. Now this is important to realize because, like I said, my digital ink can be erased. But once I change format something, like I did here, it has to be deleted. So watch what I mean by that. I can erase my notes, my digital ink, but when I go to erase my name, it stays. I cannot erase it, I have to delete it. So making sure that you're a mouse, you want to make sure that then you select that object, so then you see the dotted blue frame, and now there's a red X that illuminates in the top toolbar area. That allows for you to delete the selected object on our page. So in this workspace, that selected object also has a drop-down menu. In that drop-down menu, there's a couple options that you can select. One is the cut, or you can actually select the delete, and that will then take away that selected object. Now, one step further, let me bring it back. Our best friend, undo button, right? I'll bring everything back. And now, say I don't even want to think about whether I need to erase or delete something. I just want to make sure everything's off the page. I don't want to worry about what I need to do. If that's the case, in your page sorter, which we touched on a little while ago, that first tab opens up the view, the thumbnail view of all your pages, right? And the page that we're on is surrounded by a blue border and a drop-down menu. That drop-down menu gives you other options to look at, and within that drop-down menu, you have an option to clear the entire page. Yes, so that is very easy, save of time, and very useful. So when I hit clear the page, everything now disappears. Now, if I want to bring it back, remember, undo, and say my name, the formatted text, is representing a table or a picture, a chart, a worksheet, something that I want to keep on the workspace for the students to keep coming up and answering, or maybe next period I need this to stay up here, but I need their answers, the digital ink, to go away. Within this page sorter, that first tab, the page that we're on, remember, is surrounded by that blue border and a drop-down menu. You also have the option to clear just the ink from the page. So that's huge as well, because I don't want to have to delete everything or close the file, reopen it, don't save it, just so I can get back to where we started at the beginning of this class. So now I can just clear the ink from the page. And now our representation of the chart or the graph or the worksheet stays. That's very helpful, very beneficial when you're going from class to class, or you have multiple students coming in and out, or when you use this station as a rotating center. So a lot of times that's what I would do in the classroom. I would have this as a station, so a couple students would come up, I'm working one-on-one with a student, everyone else is independent or small group. You have that flexibility then of just quickly clearing what they wrote. They can save things, capture it, and we'll go into that as well in a little bit. So remember, our home base is our cursor. When we write something in our digital ink, so picking up a pen, we're allowed to erase it. And then if we simply want to delete everything, not worrying about it, that page sorter has that option. And then if we have a selected object here that's formatted, that red X is a great way to then just get that individually selected item off the workspace. Okay, at this point, actually, we're going to break for a little bit, and then we'll come back and talk about more of the features in the notebook software, and then also explore what these other tabs involve and how I can better assist you with other resources, and we'll talk about where you can find other already made lessons and data that you can use right away to help being successful with the actual software.